That's even more true as we approach the sixth great wave of industry-led innovation to hit the Earth in the last 250 years. Today, we are living in the middle of the fifth great wave. We're sitting here with phones and tablets and other digital devices, and a lot has changed since Tim Berners-Lee started to play with documents on remote computers in the late 1980s. But we're still only halfway through the digital revolution. The sixth great wave, however, is about to break in about the year 2020, 2022, and it will focus primarily on two things: the health economies, the life sciences, and then carbon-free fuels or renewables. In terms of the health and life sciences, we already see great advances in genetics, in biotechnology, most of you are familiar with these, in advanced prosthetics, in 3D bioprinting. Just recently, a study found that within about 7 or 8 years, we should be able to reproduce an entire human organ using something like a 3D printing process. Already, technologists can use human cellular material within a 3D process. They just can't build an entire organ yet. Within 10 to 12 years, we may be able to build an entire human heart for transplant purposes. An amazing thing. And of course, here in Berlin-Brandenburg, you've already got a head start in the health sciences. You know, you have 200 biotech companies in this area. It's one of the top 5 biotech centers in Europe today. 350,000 people in this city work in the health industry. That's a lot. Contributing something like 16 billion euros to GDP every year in this area. The other area that we'll focus on in the next wave of innovation is carbon-free fuels. Still today, 82% of our energy is provided by carbon-based fuels. And it doesn't have to be that way. Most of us are aware. We're looking forward to advances in zinc air batteries that charge up just through contact with the air. We're looking forward to bio batteries that charge up through the electrolytes in the human body. I always say that and imagine plugging my iPhone in my ear to charge it up or something. We have great advances in thermal energy, or hot rocks technology, as it's called. Do you know there's enough uranium, theoretically, in seawater to power the Earth for 5 million years? If we just knew how to extract it efficiently and manage the waste. Great advances coming up in carbon extraction, sucking carbon from the atmosphere and recycling it for power. And again, I'm pleased to say Berlin has a foothold in this area. In the Adlershof, did I say that almost correctly? It's not bad for 9:48 in the morning. In the Adlershof, you already have 36 companies looking at renewables, working on things like photovoltaics for solar power. And the Beuth, there's another tricky word, the Beuth University of Applied Science has one of the first in the world remote courses offering an MBA in renewable energies. So Berlin scores fairly well in both of these areas. And there's a lot of things we can't say with any certainty as we move into that sixth wave of innovation. But I think there are 4 things we can say with some degree of certainty. The first is that competition for the leadership of the innovation race is going to heat up in the next 10 years already. The gap between developing nations and developed nations is shrinking. Uganda today has more mobile phones than it does light globes. Africa is the second largest mobile phone market in the world and catching up quickly. Second thing we can say with some certainty, looking over the next 10 to 15 years, is that cities like this one will need to target innovation in a very strategic way. Otherwise, dormant cities will very quickly become dormitory cities. And the last thing we want for a city like Berlin is that it becomes a place in 15 years' time where students come together to gain their degree and then go off and take their skills somewhere else, only returning perhaps at the age of 35 when we've lost all their youthful, innovative energy. The third thing that's true is that innovators will cluster around hubs. And I know there's a lot of talk at the moment in Berlin about establishing innovation hubs, and that's why we're here today. Hubs, of course, are simply regions that support and that reward innovation. And they will become increasingly important, ladies and gentlemen, because the greater our engagement with high tech, the more our need for high touch. A study by the University of Michigan last year found that even light users of Facebook are more prone to depression than people who don't use Facebook at all. Now, it's not that Mr. Zuckerberg and co are inherently evil. It's just that when we engage with social media, we are, of course, engaging with someone else's best life. And we can, if we're not careful, begin to wonder why our lives don't quite match up. So the greater our engagement with high tech, the greater our need for this, for high touch. And the fourth thing I can say, I think, with some certainty, for the next 10 to 15 years, is that hubs will increasingly form around a certain type of leadership. Now, in events like this that I speak at around the world, we often focus on the management side of innovation. But I want to focus this morning more on the leadership aspect. Because management and leadership are both important to innovation status in any business, in any civic organization, in any third sector organization. But they're different. Management, generically speaking, focuses on numbers, on metrics, on graphs, on pie charts, on targets, all of which are important. But leadership focuses more on mindset. Management, generically speaking, focuses on best practice. But leadership focuses on next practice. Management focuses on networking at the same level. Leadership focuses on networking at the next level. I'm speaking generally, of course. By and large, management focuses on structure, but leadership focuses on culture. And my definition of leadership is rather simple. A leader is simply someone who articulates a vision, maps out a strategy, marshals activity to build an environment where people flourish and projects fly.